It's a new month. Yes, it is. And that means it's also a new month for my San Francisco 49ers as they turn the page on the next chapter of their 2024 NFL campaign as they get ready for their Week 5 contest against the Arizona Cardinals. So this is the first of two meetings between the NFC West division rivals, and the 49ers are going to be hosting this one in the final contest of their latest homestand. And as I alluded to in my recap for the last week's recap, this is an important stretch that's about to begin for San Francisco. Well, the first of how many ever stretches that they got in this 2024 campaign for San Francisco. But this month alone is pretty big because you got four opponents that are going to be pretty tough for the 49ers. Starting with Arizona at home, and then on a very short week, you got to travel up north on the northwest of Seattle to take on the Seahawks. And then, you got a mini bye week after that to kind of rest up. But coming in off a bye week is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl rematch. And then from right there, a week after, will be the Dallas Cowboys on a Sunday night. And then the Niners will get their bye week. I mean, at least you get a mid-season bye week, which is I kind of appreciated with the 49ers, with the NFL, which I'm grateful for, because the Niners have done pretty well for themselves with the mid-season buys, rather than a couple years ago with the early season bye week, which was pretty bad. I mean, it was not good for their health, pal. But anyway, the Niners, it's a pretty important October. Sure, it's spooky season in terms of the schedule, but hey, they gotta at least pass most of their tests coming up, and that begins with the Arizona Cardinals at home this coming Sunday. So let's look at the Arizona Cardinals. They enter this game on a 2-game losing skid. Kyler Murray and this offense, it's kind of ice cold right now. They were 1-1 in the first 2 weeks of the season. They were in a pretty close contest against the Buffalo Bills. The offense didn't look too shabby in that one, but they turned the corner. They pulled a complete 180 in the next week against the LA Rams. In fairness, though, they're pretty beat up. They're kind of starting to get beat up with injuries. And in that game, Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison, they were getting red hot. They finally got that red hot connection going that was promised all offseason long. And then Murray started spreading the ball around to a bunch of other players on that offense as well. They put a 40-burger on the Rams, and then they start to, once again, get a little cold for them. They lost to the Lions in a somewhat tight game 2 weeks ago, but the offense was doing not as good as the previous week against LA, but still relatively fine. But then this past week happened when Jaden Daniels and the Commanders came to town, and Kyler Murray, and well, not just Kyler Murray, but the entire team as a whole, they dropped a complete dud. They got their butts whooped by Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. They allowed 40-plus points to that team, dropping 42 exactly, and at home. Yeah, that's not good for the Cardinals. And now they're stuck at 1-3. They're going to be desperate for a win on the road in the first of two road contests. And this is a tough stretch for them. So, they've completely cooled off. And in fairness to that offense, though, they've dealt with a couple injuries to their offensive line. And as I talked about with my recaps of Arizona's games in the Very Cold Lasagna podcast, the right tackle position has been a serious issue for them. And there's been some inconsistencies on getting their top players like Marvin Harrison Jr., James Conner, and others involved in the offense. So there have been some issues for them, but perhaps this game could be the get right game for them, but they have another task ahead of them, and that's trying to stop this 49ers team. So looking at my 49ers, they snapped their 2-game skid of their own, coming off losses to the LA Rams and the Minnesota Vikings on the road. They really need to have this game at against the New England Patriots at home. A rebuilding squad, and that's exactly what they got, somewhat. Because the box score said blowout, 30-13. It kind of didn't feel that way for half of it because they jumped out to a 20-3 lead at halftime. they were trying to hold on to that big lead in the second half because there's some offensive miscues. The defense was kind of asleep at the wheel. Well, in fairness, their best player on defense wasn't out there. But still, one player, apparently made the whole defense fall asleep. And then the horrible special teams play, once again, set the whole canvas on fire. And that pretty much kept the Patriots around. They let them hang around for too long and short. So the Patriots threatened to come back one too many times, but the Niners managed to keep them at bay and keep at a blowout score, even though it wasn't really a blowout score. So, yeah, the Niners can't fall asleep at the wheel. Even against an Arizona team that has a losing record, they know what they're up against. It's a division rival. They've been here before, and they know what's to be expected, especially with the short week coming up with Arizona and Seattle. These are 2 straight division games right in their face. Like they already lost one against the LA Rams. They can't afford to go 1-2 or 0-3 in the division, like almost halfway through the season. Like not even halfway through the season, like a quarter through the season. You can't afford to go 0-3 in the division. So you can't do that if you're the 49ers. So looking at the injury report for both of these teams going to this game, starting with the Arizona Cardinals, not as beat up as my 49ers, but some key players to note are corner Garrett Williams, who's dealing with the groin injury, and kicker Matt Prater, who's dealing with the hamstring injury. They are at risk of missing in this game after missing 2 straight practices, but Friday's practice will be the telling story of whether or not they will be able to play. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Tight end Trey McBride, he may come back for this game as long as he clears concussion protocol because he suffered a concussion and that caused him to miss last week's game. So that was one weapon down for Kyler Murray. So if he can pass concussion protocol, then he'll be able to come back for this game against the 49ers. And then that right tackle spot that I was talking about earlier, it got a little bit of positive news because Kelvin Beachum, he has a shot to play in this one, coming back to practice in a limited form after missing 1 or 2 games with the hamstring injury. So, hey, that offensive line is getting somewhat a little bit of stability back. Meanwhile, for my 49ers, there was a lengthy list of players on the injury report this week. And headlining that injury report was Fred Warner and George Kittle. Warner dealing with an ankle injury that he suffered. I don't know where exactly. It was toward the end of the first half trying to recover a fumble. And he didn't play all second half. I guess it was a safety precaution. And then George Kittle already having a hamstring injury. I guess another safety precaution that they didn't let him play in the second half either. But still, they did practice on the sideline this past Thursday. But again, Friday's practice will pretty much tell the whole story of whether or not they'll be able to go. But hopefully they can, because those are 2 key pieces. And we already saw what the defense is like when Fred Warner is not out there. Also at risk of missing this game is punt returner Jacob Cowing, who left the game Sunday with a shoulder injury. Someone that could play in this game is safety Talano Hufanga. He didn't play Sunday with an ankle injury that he suffered, I believe, in the Rams game. So we'll see if he's able to go. Looking at the keys to victory for both of these teams, starting with the Arizona Cardinals, you can certainly pound the rock. You can certainly attack the running defense of San Francisco with James Conner. So the Niners running defense is a weak one right now. Like I talked about with the Patriots, San Francisco's running defense without Javon Hargrave, and they also had a couple players a little beat up in that game with injury. This running defense is one to attack. So if you don't have anything going with your passing offense, if Marvin Harrison is struggling in this one, why not go on the ground? This is a good spot for Arizona to get right in the rushing game and then try to spark something up with your offense. And then defensively, try to trap Brock Purdy in the pocket because right now Brock Purdy has been scrambling and dabbling outside of it, mainly because, well, his offensive line sucks. So you want to keep him contained in the pocket as much as possible if you want your defense to, limit the offense as much as possible. Meanwhile, for my San Francisco 49ers, you got to clean up the special teams issues. Like, you can't really afford to go into your 5th straight game of mess ups in that specific unit alone. like all the blocked punts, opposing teams getting big returns on you, and the botched kickoff return. Like it has to stop. Like at some point in time, like you have to come together and say, guys, this is a problem. Like especially like whoever the special teams coordinator is, just like, hey, like I hope they dedicate practice time just to fixing these issues, because if they haven't yet, like what are you doing? So hopefully this coming Sunday we see cleaner and more disciplined play on this particular side of the ball, because if we don't, like we're gonna have some issues here. Like we're gonna have some serious issues here. And then defensively, you gotta slow down Marvin Harrison Jr. Our secondary, it's been above average at best right now, especially the cornerback play that's led by Charvarius Ward and Diamador Lenore. It's kind of been mixed at best as well. So whoever has the assignment of going up against Marvin Harrison Jr., they've got a tall task ahead of them, because this game, it could be a trap one. Because if Kyler Murray has that game of doing well, especially with Harrison Jr., this could be a long day. This could be a day where Harrison Jr. has the potential to go ham as long as Kyler Murray can look his way. And if you're the Niners defense, you don't want that. I mean, not to say that they shouldn't discount Arizona's other players like Trey McBride if he plays in this one. But Harrison is the deep threat. That's why they drafted him at number 4 in this past offseason. But yeah, you got to slow down Marvin Harrison Jr. You got to limit his opportunities. So if you're the 49ers, you got to slow down that number 1 threat. So the Niners, they got to have this one, especially because you're down 0-1 in the division already. You already lost to the Rams. You can't afford to go 0-2, especially on a short week where you're facing 2 division opponents. Do you really want to run the risk of going 0-3 already, and it's not even halfway through the season yet? Do ya? Just saying. Don't fall asleep on the wheel. It's like, oh, we could just. Oh, wait. Oh, shit. All right. Oh, now we gotta have some sense of urgency here, pal. I know we're drunk on that Super Bowl loss, but we're down 0-3 in the division. Fuck, what are we gonna do? How about you win the games that you were supposed to win? That starts this Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your predictions on this game for my San Francisco 49ers in the comments below. Hopefully they pull out the W. And yeah, it's a big month for them. And that begins this Sunday. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. But until then, until we recap this game, keep the lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. This is DylanLasagna signing out of another 49ers video for the 2024 campaign. And until the next one, peace out.